3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday and that means the end of the week is in sight. For today's interview, we are discussing a very sensitive topic. Also, just a disclaimer, the graphic visuals is not suitable for children, so please be mindful if you do decide to watch it. And now having a look at the Windhoek Express website for some news. Windhoek Mayor Job Amupanda switched on new traffic lights installed at 3 intersections along Otsimuse Road earlier this week. The traffic lights were erected at the intersections of Otsimuse with Evelyn, Beijing and Bond Street. While switching on the traffic lights, Amupanda thanked the Road Fund Administration and the Road Authority for funding the project, while calling for future cooperation to improve the roads in the city. The project, which commenced in August this year, came at a cost of 2.29 million Namibian dollars, of which 1.6 million was contributed by the Road Authority and the Road Fund Administration. City of Windhoek employees carried out the installation of traffic lights with the assistance of a contractor in civil work. The upgrading of the intersections is expected to improve traffic flow and improve safety for pedestrians and cyclists on this road. And with the festive season upon us, we have a look at our calendar. Currently running until today is the Eros Church Market until 7 p.m. tonight. The Zambians Are Coming is a fine art exhibition of contemporary visual art from Zambia in the National Art Gallery. The Phoenix Project is a collaboration between UNAM and the Cardiff University, and they are exhibitioning the COVID-19 community perspective in the foyer of the library at the main campus. Today from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. the Love is Love exhibition is in memory of B. Wise that can be viewed at Café Prestige situated at the FNCC. Also at the FNCC at 7 p.m. tonight is Le Comedy Club with Big Mitch and Lloyd. Tickets is 50 Namibian dollars in advance and 70 Namibian dollars at the door. Then the Scientific Society in Windhoek is hosting a public talk by Kenneth Quisep on population distribution and trends, focusing on Namibia's elephants. You can also join online via Zoom. At 8 p.m. tonight, Namibians Be Like Comics share their journey of navigating their way around the political and economical challenges at the National Theatre. Tell us about your journey.
Well, it's a very long
in the scope of being happy with your life, it's actually a tiny, tiny little part. And before we get to my journey, I sometimes get so confused when people that transition say that they're born again. It's a new life. For me, I just see it as this tiny little blip in my life where I fixed a little thing and then I could continue. But that little thing actually made a huge difference where I could be myself and live as myself and gain confidence. So I was born in Namibia and raised here to an Afrikaans family, quite conservative, never really fitting in at school. Always being teased for being different, for being feminine, for liking to play with dolls from a very, very young age, playing dress up, things like that. When I had male friends, we would play make pretend. I would always want to be the wife. So from this very earliest stage, it was there. But as I grew older, I thought, it's not possible. How can it be done? Because back in the 80s, in Namibia, it wasn't in books or magazines. There was maybe once in a while, like something in a huisgenoot about a transvestite or someone that sort of, I think, confused people more than the good it did. And I thought, well, I like men, so I must be gay. And I tried it. I tried really hard to be a gay man. And I've heard I was a very attractive gay man, which is kind of funny. But anyway, throughout school, high school, and I didn't have many gay relationships. But in the relationships, I never felt like I belonged. It was always a difficult thing because my partner would want me as a guy, but I would want to be with him as a woman without consciously knowing I want that. In hindsight, now I know exactly. But back then, it didn't work for me. And then I moved to Swakop, got a job there, and didn't have a lot of friends. So I had a lot of time for introspection and thinking how I feel about things and my life. And then I realized to be happy, I have to transition. I'm living in a movie and I'm watching someone else playing me, portraying me. It's not me being there, being consciously there. Did research, and medical help. This was 2009, was almost non-existent. It's still pretty non-existent for trans people here. Although a lot of doctors have spoken to me because they know my journey and I assist them as far as I can. So went to Swakop, tried things, all sorts of things to transition. Medical transition is very difficult, or was difficult, near impossible, I think, to get hormones, to get a therapist that can assist you, to agree to prescribe hormones use. Very difficult. It's still almost impossible. So I thought, well, what can I do to just help ease the anguish that I have for this? And I thought, well, the easiest thing I can do that is sort of reversible if I cannot go through the whole process, and it's maybe not right for me. I started with laser hair removal on my face and my whole body. Really painful, really, really painful. I lived in Swakop. Every month once a month I drove to Windhoek on a Friday, did my session, Sunday drive back to Swakop. It's quite arduous, but I started feeling some relief of the anguish and the difficulty with myself. And at that time, YouTube also became really big in Namibia. I mean, it was big, but then it really started just becoming bigger. And I found a lot of women on YouTube going through the same things I did, and that transitioned in America and Britain and other countries. And that sort of gave me a lot of comfort as well, feeling like I'm amongst peers going through the same thing. Then in 2012, I moved to Germany to go and work there. And I needed to get out of Namibia for get a wider perspective of life, but also to transition. That was my main goal. I moved to Germany, started seeing doctors there, started with hormones. After a while, I had my breast augmentation. And after that, I had my gender. Well, there's so many terms for it. Gender confirmation surgery, gender reassignment surgery. I prefer sex reassignment surgery because I don't see it as changing your gender. Your gender is a learned thing. It's in your soul and your being, and your sex is a physical characteristic. So I had my sex reassignment surgery in Germany. I had several surgeries, and then a couple of years ago, I moved back to Namibia, and that is the very short of my journey.
What was some of the biggest challenges coming back as a woman?
I don't often see things as a challenge. I see it as an opportunity for fabulousness. So the one thing that I thought when I came back is people won't recognize me, they won't know about my past, and I can just integrate seamlessly in society. Unfortunately, I won't say people recognize me per se because the hormones, change a lot on your physical structure and your face and everything. But people knew, and they told other people out of joy and being proud of my journey. And, it gets to the wrong ears and it perpetuates into this thing where everyone knows something and it's this little gossip thing. It's just, did you know? So the challenges, that was one of the challenges to just fit in seamlessly. But other than that, another challenge, but that's ongoing and that's not just, for me, that's all around the world is dating. Also very difficult. I mean, I had a partner in Germany. We were together for 5 years. And I had a partner here, and we were together for like a year and a half. But there's this misunderstanding about it. And I know my partner I had here, sometimes, if he would go somewhere, people would ask him. And he was really buff, well built, very masculine, like real man's man. People that knew he was with me and knew him, or knew a little bit of me, would ask like, I never knew you were gay. And they said, what do you mean? It's like, no, but you're with her or him, not even knowing which pronouns to use, although they would always refer to me as her. So that shows, in their mind, I'm actually a woman, but they just want to verbalize it differently or create something that isn't there.
How was the support from your family?
Oh, my family was fantastic. My entire family, I have quite a large family on my mother's side. My dad's side is also quite big. They were 1,000,000% supportive from the get-go. So when I lived in Swakop, I sort of lived quite androgynously. Wearing a little bit of makeup and wearing androgynous, like female clothes, but quite androgynous. And when I moved to Germany, shortly after I moved there, I wrote them a letter and said, this is how I feel and this is my life. And I cannot go on living in a movie. I have to be myself. To be myself, I have to go through this process. And it doesn't change who I am per se. It just strengthens who I am and brings it out even more. My mother wrote me an email and my dad wrote me an email, and they were 100% supportive. I mean, my mother knew it. Mothers know. And my dad probably also suspected it, but, he couldn't put his finger quite on it. But I was quite surprised, happily surprised, like them being quite very conservative and, typical Afrikaans sort of upbringing, totally supportive. And then obviously, more and more of my family, I told them, and everyone is just so supportive. I mean, it's been 10 years since I, sort of started transitioning, almost completed back in the transition. And yeah, it's not really a topic that we talk about. It's not something that we avoid. It's the elephant in the room. But I'm the daughter, and I'm in the family, and it's not something sort of that we have to discuss.
What is your advice to those living in Namibia, being uncertain, not getting the help they need, especially in the medical industry?
First, I would say, speak to a therapist and hear what, if it's really like that, because often it's a thing of, it's not a kink, but just finding satisfaction in wearing clothes of the opposite gender. And you can do that without transitioning, because, a lot of things, once you start transitioning, it's very difficult to go back. So male to female, start taking hormones, you have breast growth, they will always be there. They won't go away if you decide to stop transitioning. If you transition from female to male, as soon as you start taking testosterone, your voice will break. I want to say, surround yourself with people that care for you. But it can also be a bit of a problem if, everyone is in the same difficult situation, because it can bring you down. It can be a downward spiral.
I want to thank you for doing this interview with me. I know it's not always easy, especially living in a country like Namibia where these things are still frowned upon. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for talking to me.
Thank you for asking me for this interview. I was a little bit hesitant in the beginning, as you know, because just the stigma that still comes with it, and the safety aspect.
For today's life hack, if you want something sweet to eat, like let's say deep fried Oreos, simply take pancake mix with a little bit of oil, milk and an egg, dip your Oreos in it and deep fry it. Who won't love that? Next up, and we'll need it, Jeanette Diergaard for your Flex Minute.
everybody, and welcome back to Flex. I'm Jeanette Diergaard, your presenter for Flex, and today we will be focusing on stretches that will help you with your lower back pain. Okay, so we're gonna do a yoga movement. It's such a long name. It's Supta Padangusthana. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but basically you have your legs stretched out and you try and reach your hands or reach for your toes, both arms. So you'll ask me, okay, how does this work? Why will it help me with lower back pain? So your inner thighs and your hamstrings, if they're too tight, they can also lead to back problems. So you really want to stretch it out. But while you're doing this, try and keep your lower back pressed against the floor. So don't lift it up to reach your toe, but rather have it there. And if you can't reach for your toe, and if you're not that flexible, just have it to the point where, where you can reach, even if you just reach for your knees or for your ankle, but try and reach as far as you can go. Okay, now this one is one of my favorites. It's called a supine twist. So I think it also has it's probably come from the spine. So you have your legs stretched out in front of you, or stretched out to the sides in a T position, and then you are gonna just twist both knees, bend knees, twist it to the one side. Okay, so this one will work directly on that lower back muscle. So you have it there and it stretches into your glute, and we go to the other side again. So stretch as far as you can go, so you can really get a nice twist in this and feel the movement properly. And that brings us to the end of this one. I will see you guys next time.
Cross that river, Jordan. Yes, I am. I'm gonna leave my heart wide open. Yes, I am. Let me tell you, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Oh, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
That brings us to the end of our show for today. We are almost done with Pride Week, but stay tuned for tomorrow's interview as we talk to Mr. Gay World, Lo Breitenbach. See you tomorrow.